sample. Sample. Howdy, it's me, Manic Mark, coming to you from the bunker system located underneath the villa found somewhere in the jungles of the Midwest. And today is record day. Not many records, just a short video, probably. No, I gotta... asked me about the medicine cabinet. I'm showing the medicine cabinet, and I decided to lead off the video with that. I finished it, and so I'm going to play that, and then I'm going to voice over my voiceover and see what matches. Okay, here we go. And here's the medicine cabinet. I finished it.
Here's the medicine cabinet.
All the wiring
totally complete.
And the switch
put
works,
back together,
and that plug works,
totally
the outlet
rewired.
works, although none of this is grounded. I did
rack,
ground, you know, the wire that goes into
lights,
the case.
the bottle opener,
so if there's anything, but you
the
won't be
on-off
using it. I
switch.
want it to work, and it's still good. The thing was made in the 30s.
The outlet, I rewired the outlet, which was still good.
You got the bottle opener.
The thing was made in the
1930s,
probably the early 30s, and it's amazing that the mirror
is amazing.
It's like brand new, and it hasn't been replaced because it was manufactured just
it can't be replaced because it's like sealed.
The metal was squeezed together when it was put together.
All right, and I had shelves
so
cut
then
for
a
it,
heavy
but they didn't
mirror
cut the shelves
put
the right
together.
size.
There's the inside. I bought glass shelves for it, but they were too small.
Never mind. Okay, go on.
So I've got those on order again.
The rack on top where you put stuff.
And
that's
something like a rack,
whatever,
a hook
like
for
a glass up. I'm not sure what that thing is on the.
I guess you could put out your.
Anyway, so there it is.
I
used I put the LEDs in
porcelain,
it with porcelain extensions,
socket extensions,
porcelain extensions,
standard base socket extensions to standard based
type lights,
LED lights
vintage,
that don't look too bad. I think.
So I think that works.
With
anyway,
the thing.
There you go, ready to go.
As far as so they won't burn hot.
Am I still talking?
And
am I still talking
they look kind of. I think they look better with the extensions.
Although about the medicine cabinet, I still could be
don't like the lettering on the side, but hey, it's industrial looking anyway. So that's the end of it. This is with the lights turned off. That's just.
Anyway,
that's the end of it. Okay.
There you go. That's finished. Now, I wanted to thank people for several comments I got, or no comments at all, which people left. They told me that they didn't leave any comments, and that's fine. The worst thing you could do is give advice that's no good, right? And it's the thing about giving advice is that people don't listen to you, right? Because you're right, and they're going to be wrong, okay? And then when they say, well, I'm going to do it some other way, you get offended, right? So Eric suggested I use PEX. I like PEX. Is that like the flip thing the candy comes out of? I don't know. No, it's not copper. It's plastic. It reminded me, I had a friend who did this whole house in PEX, and we all went, oh, really? Plastic? And you're just going to put it in the wall and forget about it? And it will never leak. It'll last as long as copper? He said, oh, sure. So anyway, but I would have to, you know, everything's copper here, and it's going to stay copper because I'm familiar with that technology. Okay, but thank you for that advice. Just call him Salty. Salty. He doesn't use his first name as far as I know in his videos. Anyway, he had a good suggestion with the and after I even went to the hardware store and I'm like, look at this, and the guy said it looks broken. I said, I don't think it's broken. I just can't understand how it goes together and seals. And then when I got home and I'm screwing it together a little bit, I'm thinking, well, you know, I don't know, maybe this is enough. But the gasket, so he had a good suggestion of putting a washer in the bottom and tightening it all down. Then I spent a lot of time looking for washers, trying to see if I could find anything that might fit the hole, which is a standard. Okay, so just before I gave up trying to find washers, I ran across this graphite stuff. It comes in like a rope. It's not a rope. It's a compacted graphite, like a putty and a string that people use to pack valve stems. And I've never done that. I've never packed a valve stem. If I had a leaky valve stem maybe once, I just cut it out and put in a new one. Just anyway. So, but people can fix them, which I didn't know, by taking the whole top of it off, cleaning it up, and wrapping this stuff around a little screw mechanism in there and putting it back together again, and it will keep it from leaking, I guess, for a while. So. That stuff will just pack into these little small spaces, and when I crank it all down, I'm thinking it should seal it up pretty well. So essentially, I went with Salty's solution to the problem. Okay, that was a long way around to get to where we are now, which is what? I can't believe Christmas is almost here. I haven't been procrastinating, but it's like, what? I don't know. I haven't, Christmas, and then here it is. The only difference is that I'm really surprised that it's here already. Before, it's like, well, I don't really care. But now I'm just surprised it's here. All right. I hope everybody does something that makes them feel okay about life. On the 5th, I guess it is. Okay, now, to the records. And it took me a while to kind of figure this out. It's always back. Guitar erasure. It's like generation gap, but they made it funny by spelling it guitar ration, a nation. Guitar nation, generation. Give it up. You never get it right. It probably does make sense to some people. Joe and Jody Mapes. Who are they? Well, they're on the front of the cover, right? Will I feature anything from this? I really don't have any. It's on Chart Records. They're cool because they got guitars with more than one neck. People play the guitars like, oh, your guitar only has one neck. Well, you don't go out and play professionally, do you? Because your guitar, you need to have more than one neck if you want people to take you seriously when you play guitar. It's another name, Mel Sherino. I'm just going to take a stab at it like I normally do. Their stuff's very light mood, but it's not bad. It's not quite as identifiable as Jackie Gleason's mood music. That's not right. It's identifiable. It's just not as effervescent. No, what the hell's the word? There's a word I'm looking for. Anyway, but this looks interesting because there's titles on it like Concerto in Jazz, Slaughter on 10th Avenue, and Artie Shaw Clarinet Concert. Emerson, Lake and Palmer pictures. I don't. It was funny when I held up it's funny to me. When I held up the Creedence Clearwater Revival album, and I said, oh, I don't know, I don't recognize any of these titles. But when I played the record, I recognized everything on it. I never owned the album anyway. I don't recognize any of this. I'm sure when I play it, I will recognize some of the tunes. This one ended up the 50-cent bin. The Charles Ives Music for Chorus, which I may play a sample from, because Charles Ives was an interesting character. He wrote interesting music. Jethro, Tall Heavy Horses. Apparently this is an album about my majestic draft horses who somehow became overweight, and then they couldn't do their jobs anymore because they were like too heavy and got tired easily. It's Billy Vaughn. Oh my God, you bought a Billy Vaughn album? He plays it. What the hell does he play? Like a trumpet or a clarinet or something? Anyway, it's like in that 20s. Like, oh, I can't stand it. But all of his albums aren't like that. Okay, some are really good, and one is excellent. And I can't remember the name, but I'm going to describe the cover for you. It's got a really skinny woman on the front, and it's kind of shot real blurry, and she looks kind of purple. She looks basically like a zombie, like Twiggy became a zombie in the 60s. But it's his stab at making music that kind of has like a psychedelic edge to it. It's really good, and it's usually they're out there and they're cheap because people don't want to buy him, right? So they don't buy that one, which is good. But I bought this one because it has interesting covers, titles on it, like Route 66, Midnight in Moscow, which I don't know. Route 66 was the only one, and Tough in the Twists. I don't know how he would do that, but I hope he leaves that horn thing out of it. All right, it's Harold Leakey singing a sermon. That's right. And I picked this up because, well, you never know. Could be interesting. Plus, there's a song on the back of it titled "How Awful Hell Must Be." Like he needs to point out to me, Manic Mark, how awful hell is. Because I don't think I need to know right now. I can wait for later times when I'm faced with everything that I'm going to be faced with. Okay, another Emerson, Lake and Palmer. This is their famous one with the three heads. Again, I have no idea what's on this album, and I won't The Endless Enigma Part 1 and Part 2. Whenever you put Enigma in a title, it perks my interest. So I picked it up. Now, Homer Louis Randolph, I swear I've got one of his albums, but it's not with this cover, okay? And it seemed like I was disappointed when I listened to it. I don't know. But I picked up another one because there's a cover of My Sweet Lord on this album by Louis Boots Randolph? Is it? What the hell? This is not the same. This is Boots Randolph? Homer Louis Randolph III, what did he do? Did he put his own name? I would never buy a Boots Randolph album, but maybe I did here. Well, there is a cover of My Sweet Lord on it, so it'll be worth listening to, but it's... I got confused by the title. Anyway, and last but not least, in the 50 cent bin, don't know anything about Dorsey Burnett, but the cover on this Halo album is super awesome fun, okay? The tall oak tree, and there is a gnarly oak tree. He should have titled the album Gnarly Oak Tree, but he didn't. But that's not his fault because the photographer's like, hey, what do you want on a half hour's notice? That's all I could find was this gnarly piece of wood in my red backdrop. You look awesome. And he does. He does look awesome. So stop your complaining, Dorsey Burnett. It's a fine cover. 1960. I want to play something from this just because I never feature country music, except when it comes on those religious albums sometimes. That's more like white southern hillbilly, sometimes with like a country twinge to it, but most of the time it's more like bluegrass, but not bluegrass because it's blended with gospel and bluegrass and country.
Oh, how awful hell must be. Turn away, Jesus, and soon you shall see. With fire to torment you and memories to haunt, and never receiving the things that you want. Oh, how awful hell must be. And after 10,000 years of suffering and thirst, no less time awaits you than there was at the first. Oh, how awful hell must be. How terrible are the sounds from that awful place. Forsaken of God, forsaken of His mercy, forsaken of grace. For there'll be weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth, screaming and crying, but never relief. Oh, how awful hell must be. And after 10,000 years of suffering and thirst, no less time awaits you than there was at the first. Oh, how awful hell must be. Oh, sinner, sinner, take heed before it's too late. Call on Jesus, He can save you from this terrible fate. Or after 10,000 years of suffering and thirst, there'll be no less time awaiting you than there was at the first. Oh, how awful hell must be. For there'll be weeping, wailing, gnashing of teeth, screaming and crying for water, 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 water.